Now, this next step is more of a personal preference than anything else, but it depends on how you choose to use your WordPress. Do you want to use it as a blog? Do you want people to write comments? I personally choose not to use my WordPress application or WordPress website for comments because I want to cut down on people spamming their stuff to my WordPress site. People will do that just so they can get their message into search engine. So to prevent that from happening, the first thing we're going to do, and this is just a good housekeeping technique, is I'm going to go under settings and I'm going to go under discussion. Okay, under discussion by default, it allows people to make comments on articles. So here's what I suggest you do. It's the same technique I use. I'm going to choose not to have people post. The person has to be registered. They must be registered to log in and comment, and automatically close comment articles after 14 days or whatever. I'm actually going to change that to 1 day because I really don't want people posting on my website. I'm also going to scroll down here and say comments must be approved. If they happen to get past my little options here, I definitely don't want anything being published unless I or the administrator manually approves it. Now, in addition to that, if you scroll down here, I also like to pick the Gravatar logo. Now, you can pick whatever you want. My personal preference is the Gravatar. So if you're part of the Gravatar system, which most people are, you will actually see your little avatar published in any post or anything you do for your website. I'm going to save those changes. Now, the next thing I would probably do before we go any further is something called permalinks. Now, permalinks is set up for SEO. So by default, as an example, if I click in the permalinks right now, this is going to show me if I go to different pages. See, this URL directory is not a very SEO, search engine optimization friendly type of URL. This is actually a machine URL. I want to make it very user friendly. So what I would typically suggest, and this is a personal preference, it comes down to how often you're going to publish, how often you're going to post. I would typically just pick the post name. So if I have a post name called contact, it would say name of the site / contact. If I have a post name called customer support, then the URL would be domain name / custom support. So it wouldn't be this. This is tied into the ID of a database. So I would highly suggest not doing that with permalinks. I'm simply going to select post name and come down here and hit save changes. All right. Now let's talk about general settings. So under general settings, based on these choices, I'm going to click under general settings. Okay, this is the name of my site title. Of course, you can put whatever you want in there. This is not a secure website, so this is just an HTTP as opposed to an HTTPS. Now, as far as membership, can anybody register for this website? If I click that, I will talk about that in subsequent videos. That will enable people to actually register, log into your site, post information, etc., etc. A new user role, what do you want them to be? Do you want them to be a contributor, author, administrator? Again, I will talk about that in subsequent videos. Now, this isn't really important, but you may choose to come in here. This way, if you're posting blogs and stuff, you might want to have it reflect your particular time zone. So if you go through here, as an example, I'm in the time zone of New York City. So I'm going to pick New York. Now, how you want to format your date, I'm going to keep this all default. My work week starts on Monday, and I'm going to save the changes. And again, that was all under the section of general. Now, as far as writing information, if I write information, how do I want it to be presented? Okay, in a standard format, in the side. I'll talk about that more in detail in subsequent videos, but I just kind of want to get your feet wet in understanding how this is set up. Now, before we go any further, I want to talk about good housekeeping, and that comes down to categories. So we'll get started by creating posts and talking about posts. More importantly, creating a category for your post in the next video. So stay tuned.